Hello, loves. Hello, hello. Hills here from the blue flame. Today we are going to talk about the Leo new moon, maybe even dip into the Lionsgate a bit. But really, what we're going to talk about is Mercury's retrograde and some other fun stuff. Let's take a moment before we begin diving into the astrological combinations that are this new moon to talk about progressions. The precession of the equinoxes and things like this. You see, we are currently navigating energies of movement, even though we are in a sign of fixity. Leo is a fixed sign. We move in this fixity in the subtle realms. In the subtle realms. If the cardinal energy of Cancer and Capricorn and Libra and Aries is get up and go, let's get things moving. Fixed energy can feel slow, which is very interesting because I woke up this morning as we're coming closer and closer to this Leo new moon here in Ciudad Valle in La Azteca, Postina. And please excuse my pronunciations, my tongue is having a hard time with the name of this beautiful rainforest in Mexico, with this sense of urgency and running out of time. Sometimes when we are navigating fixed energy, we can feel like there's not enough time to finish what we started. And because we have been moving through so much energy over the last few months, couple of years, and things are really starting to come to a head, even as retrograde season dives deeper. We might have this feeling that there's not enough time to get everything done. There's not enough time to get everything done. One of the factors that is contributing to this is that Jupiter in Gemini is currently making a square, which is going to run through the rest of this year and into next with Saturn in Pisces. Now, of course, Gemini and Pisces are mutable signs. They bring us to a closure. So here we have the expanded energy, the big, powerful energy, forward moving energy, even you could say, of Jupiter, making a square to the Lord of Karma and Time in Pisces, who's moving retrograde. So through this, we can start to feel a sense, an expanded sense of time running backwards, and we're running out of it. So if we feel this energy of Jupiter and Gemini, which has been running for a few months now, right? Since about May, we are starting to expand our connection to our expression, to the way that we express ourselves, to how we communicate, to our mental plane. Now, Mars is currently in Gemini also, and Mars is actually making some really lovely alignments during this new moon. On the 15th of August, so we move through the new moon and through the Lionsgate and begin to approach the full moon, Jupiter and Mars will come into conjunction. So this will have Mars, Jupiter squaring Saturn. More on that to come. Let's breathe and pause. Part of moving with subtle energies, part of moving with fixed energies is taking those moments to let things percolate in the way that they need to. Now, this new moon is happening at 12 degrees of Leo. So that means that the moon and the sun are both at 12, 12, 12. Isn't that lovely? They are making an almost exact fire trine to the great attractor, that beautiful big space vacuum, that gravitational anomaly that helps to pull out stagnant energies, to pull it through and out. It is a great tool for us in our spiritual alchemization, transmutation process. It is in the sign of seeking higher, Sagittarius, and purifying flame. These two, the sun and moon, the great attractor, are also fairly tightly trined to the North Node, which is currently navigating the 8 or 9 of Aries, depending on which node you're looking at. So here we have our destiny line, our north point, enshrined to the sun and moon in Leo and the great attractor. One of the energetics that we get to play with as we move through the void point of the new moon and begin to birth again is weeding out, purifying, allowing to be cast into the flames, if you will, anything about our sense of self that is not true. Any old baggage that we are still carrying or wearing, false masks, if you will, that we adopted because someone else told us that's who we were, or that it was better to play that role than to actually be our true expression of self. The energy of Leo, and this Leo season in particular, is all about putting our full self in the spotlight. This is what it means to be a way shower. This is what it means to be a light worker, to allow your full expression to be witnessed, to stand in your full light, your unique, beautiful, perfect, beautiful, amazing frequency of light, that iridescence that is unique to you. And to do so courageously, to say, this is possible. You can see that it's possible because I am doing it. I'm not special or different in that way than you are. You also have that capacity. So here we are, standing courageously in our full spectrum, our broad spectrum of light, shining magnificently in diamond prismatic form, allowing any impurities, if you will, in that diamond prism to be released into the great attractor so that we may seek higher, and so that those energies may also attain their next highest expression, following our true north path. This is where we are talking about the precession of the seasons, the precession and progression of the equinoxes, the elevation and evolution of all consciousness, which is the universal consciousness. One of the ways we can see this is that the heart of the lion, Regulus, this year has shifted out of the sign of Leo and moved into the 0 degree of Virgo. So we can see that even that courageous energy, that heart of the lion, that regal energy, has moved into a state of perfection and purification, which is represented by Virgo. As this new moon begins to rebirth, as the moon begins to rebirth from the heart of the sun, we find Mercury the next day. So the new moon is on the 4th of August. The next day, on the 5th of August, we find Mercury shifting retrograde. Now, this Mercury retrograde shadow has been quite powerful. As it began, there was a Microsoft error that took out half of the telecommunications of shopping centers and airports. We've had lots of ways to explore how we're expressing and communicating in the world. I've been here in Mexico playing with that energy and picking up bits and pieces of the global stage of what has been happening around the world in the media and the news. And we can start to feel, I mean, how amazing and perfect is it that Joe Biden, whatever you think of him, dropped out of the US presidential election on the day of the Capricorn full moon, changing structures. This was also part of Mercury's retrograde shadow. This has been a very powerful one. One of the reasons for this, it's multi-dimensional, interdimensional, multifold, but one of the reasons for this is because Mercury is beginning its retrograde in a sign of rulership, which is Virgo. So we are really going to start diving deep into perfecting our internal communications so that we can also shine more truly and authentically in our selfness. I just had a piece come in and I would really love to have us play with this. And this could be a really interesting and magical way to play with this Leo new moon, which is that for the last eon, part of what we have been told was an act of perfection, was an act of selflessness. Whether this is putting others before self or completely demonizing the ego, saying that we need to evolve beyond our physical bodies. All of these are ways of expressing that the individual, our individuality, is less than. When in truth or point of fact, each and every one of us is a unique expression of the universal. Let's feel that. Each and every one of us is a unique expression of the universal all. selfness of the All-Mother, All-Father, of the divine source. So if each and every one of us, and I'm talking about our consciousness, which is currently embodied in the form in which I am sitting here right now talking to you, and you are sitting there talking to you, and me and us, and all of us are in communication through these physicalities, through all of the elements that make us up. Every single cell of my being and every single cell of your being is the unique expression of the universe. And all combined together in the unique way that makes up the vessel in which your consciousness is currently residing. So if we say we need to be selfless, what are we saying? That somehow all of the elements that have combined together in this magnificent dance that created the vessel in which your consciousness is currently riding are somehow less than. It pains my heart to think that, right? To think that any one of us might be moving through the world thinking that our physicality is somehow less than, when it is a unique expression of the divine, working with so many amazing permutations and expressions. Nobody can ever be you, ever. Just as nobody can ever be me. And that is on purpose and for purpose. That is on purpose and for purpose. For all of these elements have come together to create this vehicle that your consciousness helped to create and to reside in for the time that you're here to reside in it, so that that beautiful combination of elements and frequencies of light, harmonics of sound, can be gifted in experience to the universe. And when we return to source, that is what we take, a frequency that has never before existed and will never again. Now, can we feel how this Leo new moon, with Mercury shifting retrograde right afterwards, can help us to get in to our physicality a bit more, to take center stage and say, I am. You see, Leo is ruled by the sun. We are being asked to let all of the internal, unconscious, subconscious, lunar, feminine energies meet in union and dance with those extroverted solar masculine energies, to feel all of it in concert with one another, so that we can feel our unique voice within it and share that with the world. And this is part of what this gift of Mercury retrograde does. When we experience Mercury retrograde, yes, there's all the electromagnetic tomfoolery, miscommunications and misfires. However, they are to help us remember that what we are doing is diving into the depths, to feeling that energy of the messenger in communication between all of the realms and all of the cells of our being, to remember that we are part of that communication network. And then to feel how our thoughts and our emotions interact in creating the world around us and how we dance within it. We talked about removing masks earlier. This is being highlighted even more because as Mercury is at the very beginning of Virgo, as it's ready to shift backwards, Venus, exactly conjunct Medusa, are at the 29th Leo, just getting ready to dip together into the sign of the virginal priestess. Now, we've talked a bit before about the virginal priestess, that virgin does not have anything to do with abstaining from sex. It is being whole unto self. Being whole unto self. Now, if we feel Venus, that powerful feminine energy that encapsulates all goddess energy, working in concert, in conjunction with that reclamation of full power, full story, full voice, energy of Medusa. At the end of Leo, coming to the culmination point of taking stage, courageous heart, boldly going into love, into a new state of perfection, of purity, if you will. And Medusa, who was monsterized for a lack of virginity in the current parlance of that word, can start to take that full sexual energy, that full creative energy, that full feminine embodied energy into the world to say, no, we are here. And then they work with Mercury retrograde, because Mercury is going to retrograde over them as they move into Virgo. Medusa would like me to share a remembering that the energy that is represented by the crown of snakes is that energy of the Kundalini having risen, the double helix of serpentine energy, that emotional and embodied feminine creative force, moving through all of the channels and literally multiplying. That's the level of creative oomph represented here. You can see it as the antlers of a deer as well, as represented in the Buddhist traditions. The location of Mercury's retrograde at 4 degrees of Virgo puts Mercury in a quite tight Earth trine with Hygeia, who will be exactly trine to Mercury at 4 degrees of Taurus, and Ceres and Phallus over in Capricorn. This one's not quite as tight. They're at 7 and 8 of Capricorn. It is Hygeia more so that would like to come through in this moment. Talked a bit about her if you've been following along. She has a very Uranian energy. It is awakening. She is the white light, healing white light that we can feel between our hands when we hold our hands like this. It is that same white light that Reiki practitioners touched in on. Other hands-on healers connect to this, and this is part of the reason that her symbol, the caduceus, is connected to the medical profession. She has powerful healing energies. It is awakening our healing capacities, energies. So here we have Mercury in sign of rulership, Virgo, helping the masculine and the feminine aspects of our being enhance their communication. As Hygeia sits exactly trine in Taurus, the sign that Venus rules, the sign of the earth, of manifestation, creation, really hands-on energy. Of all of the earth signs, Taurus is the most hands-on. This is part of the representation of the bull, 4 feet on the ground, deep connection to the earth. We can feel how part of what we are being gifted during this Leo new moon as we move to the 8/8 portal, which is actually an 8/8/8 this year, and into the birthing of Virgo season as we get deeper into August, is coming into a state of self-empowerment. Not necessarily self-centeredness, though taking center stage. It is more about I am. I will be the fullest, truest expression of I am in this moment and that moment and those moments over there in each moment. Part of the energy of Sagittarius, where the great attractor trine is, reflects this highest truth currently accessible. So when we have the great attractor trine to this new moon, part of what we get to play with is, will I allow anything that is not the highest truth currently accessible to me in this moment to be released? And this piece of currently accessible to me at this moment is very important. It is not to take on self-recrimination and judgment for the way that you worked with the highest truth currently available to you in this moment over here. It's, I can now act from the highest truth currently available to me in this moment. And part of that is loving those aspects of you that didn't know what you know now. And also releasing judgment of others for acting from the highest truth that is currently accessible to them. And finding those ways to navigate. I am, and so are you, and so are you, in relationship to all. And here we come with that Mars energy again. Because Mars, if we remember, is the energy of I am. This is why it is connected to drive and purpose. Mars in Gemini is currently, and on this new moon, will be exactly a trine to the South Node. Here we go with that. Finding a way to not try and domineer another into believing what you believe. It is simply moving into acceptance of, this is the highest truth currently accessible to me in this moment. This is the highest truth currently accessible to them in this moment. They may not match. They may not match. And that's okay. It doesn't mean one of you is right and one of you is wrong. Now, there are certain things where we can say, well, objectively, this is right, and objectively, that is wrong. But that is just in that moment. we don't know what we don't know. So allow that flexibility, which can be hard when we're in fixed energy. We feel we've been really darting all over the place in this update. We've not talked about the fact that Chiron has already gone retrograde. This happened last week. Chiron is retrograding along with Aries now through the end 23-ish of Aries, finding new ways to access our senses of abandonment but if I am my true full expression, what will happen to my relationships? What will happen to the way that I am in the world? The people that I interact with, will I still be able to be part of my family? Will I still be able to be part of my friend group? And sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. This is about removing those masks. If we find our truest expression, and there is someone in our life who can't come along for that ride, can we be okay with that? And this is part of what we're really going to be working with over the rest of this year as the North and South nodes move through the beginning of Aries and Libra. How can we release with gratitude and acceptance when that is what's necessary? And how can we allow someone else's full expression, even if it causes us discomfort? And I'm not talking about allowing people to abuse you or having wobbly boundaries. That is the exact opposite of what this energy is about. It is, I am. Your highest expression of I am is not going to be as a victim. Full stop. That's just not the way that the universe works, right? I mean, we can go into victim mode. We can really dive in and play with that energy. And sometimes we do need to in order to find the gunk in the places where we're holding on to old states of being, the wounds of our being, karmic lessons that we're here to learn may connect to areas of victimness, but we're not going to be asked to stay in a situation where we're being abused. That would not be highest expression for anyone, not for the person who's doing the abusing and not for the one who's receiving it. Now, there could be highest expression in moving out of that, through it. I feel. After we move through the 8-8, and as we move through this new moon, there is a chance that we could start to really feel, if you have not already, that there's some intensity in the field coming through that we're moving into. Part of what I'm being asked to share with this as we move deeper into the retrograde season, as Pluto on the 2nd of September moves back into Capricorn on the same day that Uranus also shifts retrograde. Uranus is basically at a standstill right now, waiting to turnaround is to build up our reservoir. That's part of what this Leo new moon energy is about, and this taking of center stage, allowing ourselves to be the main character in the proceedings of our life, is to fortify our systems for what is coming, which is to say, I just heard gird our loins, kind of, but to really get us into a state of ownership of our embodied beingness, so that we can move through what is coming with grace and acceptance, with love. And as we do, to stay whole in our expression of light, to stay whole in our expression of light, to allow our light to be beacon through these dark days. I don't want to leave us with that. Let me feel if there's another piece that we can connect to. Some of this energy that I was speaking about, of this feeling of running out of time, could be very well connected to some of the timeline potentials that we're moving into. And one of the asks of us is to really allow as much of this diamond light, our Christ consciousness, our prismatic beingness, our full spectrum light, to be embodied as we are ready for in any moment and every moment. One of the things that has been very loud, and this is where we're going to close today. One of the things that has been very loud is, even as we have been touching into Gaia's stabilization at the fifth dimension, is that the amount of light that is being facilitated through the sun coming into our physicalities, into all of life on Gaia, is actually boosting the energetic template, frequency, if you will, of Gaia herself. And she has actually started to vibrate in sixth and seventh dimensional frequency, which is to say that we are being gifted to start to connect to that aspect of Gaia that is already in the sixth and seventh dimensions. Because once we move through time, everything's happening all at once. So as you are grounding and anchoring, as you are allowing your roots to expand into Gaia, release it. Limitations, self-imposed or otherwise, of this dimension, that dimension, and remember that they are all happening simultaneously, and that when we say these words, the highest expression of truth currently accessible to me, what we are also saying is the highest frequency of interdimensional resonance currently accessible to me. I will be facilitating a new moon circle here on location in Ciudad Valle in the Valley City in this beautiful eastern Mexico rainforest of La Huasteca, Justino, on the 4th in the members portal. If it calls, come on over to the Patreon, come check out the community and the daily draws and the other amazing yummy stuff that happens in there as we help hold one another, help share our beacon with one another. You can check out the Sirius Gateway from the 7/7 that's currently up live on the site. If you enjoyed this video, or if you have any weavings that you care to share, please do so in the comments. Please like the video and subscribe, you know, all the things. With so much and many loves, as always, in the always, from, through, and beyond the all dimensions. Thank you.